Hey there. Yes, you read the title of this video right. Getting your racket back or prepared early is a myth. And this is not a breakthrough topic. It's been discussed numerous times in many YouTube videos. But nonetheless, you still see players practicing this old myth and coaches even teaching it. And newsflash, there is not a separate backswing or take back and a forward swing as two distinct parts of the swing. They are one uni-swing, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. There's this false thinking that players think they need to get their racket back early and that they are less likely to hit the ball late, and therefore they will time the ball better if they get their racket back early. This is a mistake because you don't want the racket to stop on the backswing and then start up again, thereby losing momentum and lose being fluid with your stroke. And even more importantly, getting your racket back early is a recipe to destroy all instinctive and natural movement. So let's take a look and give you many examples of this in action throughout your tennis journey. So let's start with watching Roger Federer, and this is in 50% slow motion. So let's start and talk about the uni-swing, and let's make sure we do break down the difference between a unit turn and the rest of the uni-swing. So the unit turn is what you saw Federer do at this point. So once he knows it's going to be a forehand, he's going to move and make his unit turn. And let's stop right here. Notice that the ball is already almost bouncing and he hasn't started his swing yet. So think of the uni-swing and the unit turn as two distinctive parts. So the first phase is, of course, which most people realize, is the unit turn, which you see right here. But his racket is practically right in front of his face and his hand hasn't even started moving backwards yet. He's just turned his shoulders, which brought his racket and his arm back towards his side. Now let's keep moving it forward. So many people would think at this stage the ball is almost bouncing and his racket is not even started moving backwards yet. So watch as the ball is bouncing. Then the rest of his swing happens. The backswing and the forward swing all at once. And we'll watch it again. Once you see it in fast motion or even 50%, it all looks like one swing, right? But let's take a look again. The ball is almost bouncing and his racket still hasn't started moving back, or it's just starting to move back. Then it bounces deep and it's all one uni-swing. The backswing and forward swing all happen together. So now we have Novak. And we'll stop. Notice that the unit turn is made and now the rest of the uni-swing will happen. The backswing and forward swing all in one motion. It's continuous. When you see it in 50% speed, it almost looks like all one motion. But you should think of the unit turn and the rest of the swing, or the uni-swing, as two distinct parts, even though when you watch it in fast motion, it looks like one piece. Okay, how about Rafa? Now in slow motion. The ball hasn't bounced yet. His unit turn is complete. The ball is just about bouncing. And you could see his racket is straight up. His arm has not started in his backswing. Once the ball bounces, it happens all at once. And now let's take a look at Jannik. Bounce, backswing, forward swing. If you didn't see that, here's the bounce coming. Look where his racket is. It's facing forward. His hands are right out to his side, so his unit turn is complete. Bounce, backswing, forward swing. It's one uni-swing. And here we have Carlos. Bounce, backswing, forward swing. Probably didn't see it, even at 50% speed. But now let's take a look in the slow motion. Here comes the bounce. His racket is starting to move back a little bit early this time. A little bit more than the others. The ball is about bouncing, and then he starts his swing. And that was because it was a little bit deeper of a shot. Let's move to the WTA and look at Elena Rybakina. Or Rybakina. You hear it pronounced many different ways. Here comes the ball. And the strike. Let's go backwards with it. The ball is bouncing. Her arms are off to her side. Her racket hasn't even started to move backwards yet. It's bounce, backswing, forward swing. So essentially it's bounce and hit. All right, we have two more. We have Iga. Here comes the bounce. Racket back and forward, one uni-swing. Want to see it in slow motion? Here's the bounce. Look where her racket is. It's not in the back position. It's just in the unit turn position. So it's bounce, backswing, forward swing. I'm going to leave out Coco Gauff on this one because many people know that her forehand is somewhat of a mess at times. And I'm going to do an entire video on Coco Gauff's forehand because you're going to notice a couple things that she does wrong when it comes to this particular Uni-Swing and her actually stroke mechanics. That'll be coming up in the next video. And let's not leave out one of the Gull Wing next-gen forehand players like Musetti here. There's the bounce, and there's the swing. Let's watch it in slow motion. Here comes the bounce. Look where his racket is. His hands and his racket are off to his side. His unit turn is complete, but this time his hands are out to his side and his racket is facing forward in the Gull Wing position. But as the ball bounces, the backswing happens and the forward swing all in one motion. Okay, the last example I'm going to show is Casper Ruud. And I have him last for a particular reason, because I think he's the easiest to mirror because he has the most deliberate and easiest action to mirror when it comes to the Uni-Swing and actually planting off the back foot. Bounce and hit. Okay, but now let's go back to this in slow motion because we're going to add something into the Uni-Swing. Not only is the Uni-Swing about bouncing and hitting, it's also about loading up the back leg right here. And you can go back and watch on all the other players. You're going to see mostly the same thing. You can see it more deliberate with Casper than some of the other players, but essentially everyone does it. When you get to this phase, ball is bouncing. You're going to end up planting the back foot and driving off the foot at the same time that you begin your Uni-Swing. This happens on virtually every shot where you're not on the run and you have a setup shot. So notice that his racket is just in a unit turn. The ball is getting prepared to bounce, and look at his legs flex at the same time. Unit turn, ball bounces, right leg gets planted, and he drives up and over the ball. This is a very important supplement to the Uni-Swing. The Uni-Swing and the loading of the back foot happen at the same time in conjunction with one another. This helps you have the fluid timing that you need. And again, when you watch Casper, it's very magnified in the actual motion. Load and hit. Here it comes again. Load and Uni-Swing. Let's come back to Casper and close out the video with the 4 tips. Now, there's something to note here on the recreational level. When the pros are hitting with each other, they have very predictable shots coming to one another, and the shot typically takes about 1 to 1.5 seconds between when it's hit at their baseline, at the other baseline, and it gets to them. So the pros hit with very predictable shots, and it's actually easier to time. And that's why when recreational players play with someone who's better than you, and the shot is more consistent than you're normally used to seeing, and you can time the ball better because of that consistency. What makes the Uni-Swing and loading up the back leg a little bit harder for recreational players is if you're a 3-5, many times the ball will take 2 or 3 seconds to get to you. Sometimes it'll take a second or a second and a half to get to you. The variation in how much time the ball takes actually makes it a little bit more complicated to time. And then, of course, you also have more movement. So what you see sometimes when you have more time is players will get set up too early and their racket will come back. So one of the tips with the fundamentals is don't take the racket back on a backswing prematurely. Always wait till the ball bounces. So if your opponent hits the ball slowly to you, many people will get their racket back earlier thinking that's the right way. The right way is actually to wait. You will move to the ball and you will run to the ball first. And then when you get there, you'll do your unit turn and your Uni-Swing. And a side benefit of that is that it's also harder to read and it becomes more unpredictable for your opponent to see where the ball is going and anticipate that shot. So to close out this video, let's review the 4 fundamental habits that you'll need to continue to work on throughout your tennis journey in order to execute a forehand with rhythm and good timing like the pros do. The first one is an open stance, and you'll see here with Casper Ruud. He has a semi-open stance. He's not entirely open. So if you have a semi-Western or a Western grip or even an Eastern grip, you're going to want to have your feet in a semi-open stance or an open stance on most of your shots, about 80% of your shots. This would be a semi-open stance. And an open stance was if your feet were more aligned, both facing the net. And a closed stance would be if both feet were essentially facing the side of the court. And you'll typically only want to hit a closed stance when the ball is really low and you have to move forward into the court and you have to step into the ball. Most of the time, that's when the ball is around knee height or lower and you're forced to move forward into the shot if you're not trying to approach the net. Then you'll end up closing your stance. All right, habit number 2. It's just what we talked about in most of this video. You make your unit turn and you wait until the ball bounces and do your uni-swing. In conjunction with that is habit number 3, which is loading up this back foot. Your backswing and your forward swing and loading up your back foot will all happen together at one time. That's the habit that you have to incorporate into the uni-swing process. So it's plant the back foot and uni-swing all at the same time. And the 4th habit is making sure you're hitting out in front and you're laying your wrist back and hitting the ball out in front of you. I'm going to do an entire video on why players struggle to hit out in front in one of the upcoming videos to be seen soon. Stay tuned for the next video where we're going to talk about why it's a struggle to hit out in front. If you like these videos, please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I will see you in the next ace.